The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to another GoldMine 101, our regular series of short presentations giving you hints and tips for getting the most out of GoldMine CRM. And in this session, I'm going to cover how to do a simple audit of your GoldMine system. Maybe it's something that you would like to do on a fairly regular and frequent basis, perhaps once a year. And I'm going to concentrate on three key areas. First of all, your usage of GoldMine. How are you using GoldMine? The depth of using GoldMine. Secondly, data quality. How good is the data in your GoldMine CRM database? And thirdly, just touch on making sure GoldMine is fit for purpose. Is it still doing the job now that you bought it to do X number of years ago? So, hello, my name is Tim Wilmot. My company, Wizard Systems, we're a leading provider of CRM solutions like GoldMine, and we help small and mid-sized companies improve their sales productivity through applications like GoldMine and related systems. Now, this presentation will be about a quarter of an hour or so in duration, just really an overview of how to do an audit. It's not meant to be an in-depth session. I will cover later on the sort of services that we've got available to do a more in-depth audit, but I'm just really touching on the key areas here. Now, the audio part of this presentation is one way only. If you've got any questions on this or anything GoldMine related, please pop that into the question box on your meeting control panel. I'll do my best to answer those at the end. Also, at the end, I'll give you an update on any GoldMine product news as well. We've got a new version that's just been released, which I will mention towards the end. So the call's been recorded. Afterwards, you will get an email from our webinar system with a link to the recording, and it will be up on our YouTube channel as well. Just go up to YouTube, do a search for Wizard Systems UK, and you'll find there well over 100 videos on different subjects in and around GoldMine. So just a quick reminder of who we are, leading provider of GoldMine. We do anything to do with GoldMine, providing the product, upgrades, implementation, training, add-ons, help desk support, you name it, we do it as regards GoldMine. So if you're not already engaging with us and you've got GoldMine, please contact us to help you get the most out of your GoldMine application. Okay, let's dive into GoldMine proper then. And first of all, data usage. So how well is your GoldMine system being used in your opinion? Well, you could have your own opinion on this, or you could dive into different analysis screens and KPI screens in GoldMine to really give you a bit more detailed information on how it's being used. And GoldMine could be underutilized because maybe users don't understand the importance of GoldMine to the organization, perhaps, or maybe they're lacking in a little bit of training. Just to give a little bit of a plug here, with the system, we do offer extensive training to you and your users. So once we know your requirements, we can explain to you and advise you on the right level of training. But it's very important to make sure that the system is being used to its best and it's meeting the company objectives. Of course, you could go to people's activity lists and calendars in GoldMine to get a quick view of activities that are being scheduled or planned, or activities that may be fairly old as well. And there are tools in GoldMine to move these activities. So if this user has left, if these activities are so old and they need to be moved on to somebody else or removed, there are tools in GoldMine to help you do that. And we have covered that on other 101 sessions. So this call is just about how to see the issues, not necessarily how to resolve them. There are lots of options in GoldMine to help you tidy up your data. So looking at activity levels, now there are a few other tools in GoldMine to establish how well GoldMine is being used. Well, there is, first of all, there's always been in GoldMine under your tools menu, um, under go to and analysis and graphical analysis. There are some really good, simple, quick ways of seeing how many activities are being recorded in your GoldMine system. Maybe you want to do a comparison of maybe how many activities are being recorded against how many activities actually took place, doing a little bit of gap analysis. But here's a simple example of activities completed over a weekly basis. But in your options under that graphical analysis feature there, you can look at well, your completed activities or scheduled activities. Remember, GoldMine likes to think of the categorizing activities as either completed, i.e., they've gone into the history tab of the related contact record, or scheduled, something coming up. So they're going to appear in your calendar, they're going to appear in your activity list as an open activity, and they're going to appear on the pending tab of that contact record. We could select a bunch of users. We could compare them together. We could do a bar graph or a line graph. This graphical analysis option was, as I say, it's been in GoldMine for a long time and was quite a popular way of seeing and doing some basic KPIs before dashboards came on the scene well over 10, 12 years ago. And then looking at activities, remember, GoldMine likes to categorize activities in different types. Are they phone calls, meetings, actions, and so on? If you do have certain types of activities, if you're using the activity code, and normally there are some simple 3-letter codes that you can use for any of your activities to further categorize the activity. So if you've got different types of meetings, different types of phone calls, you can pop in, if you remember, there's no pop-up list there, unfortunately, but if you know those 3-letter, the short acronym for that category of activity, you can pop that in there. And result code, next box down there, when you complete an activity, you can put in there the outcome, again, 3 letters. So that would be a good way of analyzing how well or these types of activities. You've got a time span down here and a date range also. So that's quite a good way of quickly establishing activity levels and usage of the GoldMine system. But even better than that are, of course, the dashboards in GoldMine. And with dashboards, you may know that you get about 8 or 9 standard dashboards. This is one of the built-in dashboards here, an activity summary dashboard. And basically, these will present to you a nice flashy graphic, pie chart, bar graph, line chart. There's loads of different, it's quite small there, but there's loads of different chart types that you can use. And these dashboards will present to the user or present to you some parameters. So when you display this dashboard, do you want to focus on a particular type of activity or a particular group of users or a particular date range or a particular contact filter? There are lots of options there to drill down and focus on a particular key area. And they will, as well as presenting you with a graph, they're going to present you with a table. There might be a summary table here. So looking at, for example, here, looking at users down the side, months across the top, we've got a quick view here of the totals of a particular type of activity. Again, we could focus on a particular activity type there. So there's dashboards. So you may want to look at how many calls are you doing? How many contact records are people creating? How many activities are being scheduled? So really, whatever the metric is, if the bottom line is if the data's in GoldMine, you can report on it. So we've got the analysis feature in GoldMine. We have the dashboard feature in GoldMine. And also we do link to third-party reporting applications like Crystal Reports and Microsoft Power BI. Again, we've covered those in previous 101 sessions on how to use these reporting tools. If you need to share this information outside of GoldMine in a different format, or maybe with non-GoldMine users, then the reporting tool would be the way to go. Next, so that's data usage, thinking about how well are we using it, how much are we using it. And next would be data quality. So when we look at our contact records, do we have, so we question ourselves, do we have missing records? Things that aren't in there that should be? Do we have incomplete records, records where there's some key information? Well, typically it would be contact name, email addresses, the address of the contact, the phone number of the contact, how you profile and categorize the contact. Are they up to date as well? Do we have old records in the system? So every record in GoldMine has some kind of an age. So this record was created way back in 1994, and it was last touched on the 3rd of November. So we have, normally with records in GoldMine, we have the date when they were created and the date when they were last updated. So a good indication there, again, a reporting system could establish on whether these are really old records. And then we take the viewpoint, what do we do with these old records? Well, they could be, poor data is going to impact on your usage of GoldMine, and users will be maybe a little bit unhappy if they're scrolling through loads of records where they're empty or incomplete or old or out of date. So we want to make sure that the system is always clean and is relevant and has the latest live contact records there. And of course, with these old records, you can create a filter or a group or an SQL query on these records, and you can archive them. You can move them to another separate database in your GoldMine system. You start off, of course, with one GoldMine database, and for many GoldMine users, one database going forwards is fine. But you can create multiple databases. Your administrator of GoldMine, whoever looks after your GoldMine, or Wizard Systems, my company, we could help you create a database. It's not particularly difficult. And then you can move or copy records from your live database into this archive database to archive off that old or maybe incomplete data. Looking at data quality and the addresses of your contacts, not only the mailing address, if you are doing mailings, of course, with GoldMine, we have the link to Word, and you're able to create address labels as well. If you want to, if you are mailing out, if you are fulfilling literature or something like that, it's very important to make sure you got the address right. We do have an add-on to GoldMine to correctly address records based on the postcode of the contact. So as you enter in new records, as you amend records, you can have that updated. And we do offer a bureau service. So if you suspect that your GoldMine database is out of date, incorrect addresses, bad phone numbers, we do have a bureau service. You can submit to us umpteen thousands of records or your whole GoldMine database, and we can then clean up that data, clean up the address. We do offer a free review as well, so you can contact us and submit some records to us in confidence, and we can give you a little bit of an audit, a little bit of a summary of how incomplete those records are, and then we can give you a quote for tidying up that data for you. Email addresses. What's your bounce back? So as emails come back to you, as you send an email from GoldMine and they bounce back on your normal day-to-day emails, make sure you're updating these emails. Make sure that you've got the right primary address against that email as well. GoldMine has a concept of the primary record on a contact, the primary person, the primary email address, making sure they tally up would be a good idea. So keep an eye on your bounce backs. If you're doing a mailing campaign, and this is where tools like IntelliClick is an add-on email campaign system, marketing email campaign system for GoldMine. They can help you establish how many bounce backs you're getting from Duff email addresses. Okay, so your chosen email system or how you do emails, watch those bounce backs, keep your primary email addresses up to date, vitally important. Now, there are some other tools to assist you here. Well, going back to dashboards, we do have a tools dashboard with GoldMine that we've created at Wizard Systems, and this will help you actually establish the tidiness of your data and how many records you've got in your database. Now, this is another dashboard that we've created with Wizard Systems, and we can provide it to you free of charge. Just let us know. Just email support@wizard-systems.com, and we can mail this out to you. You can implant it on your GoldMine system. But this dashboard doesn't really have any many flashy graphs, but it gets to the nitty-gritty of your data. So there's some tabs running across the top of this tools dashboard. So first of all, a basic heads up on some bad email addresses. So email addresses that are incomplete, maybe they don't have a dot, some sort of .com or dot something at the end of it, or no, like this example, the second one down, it's got no at. So a basic heads up, then you can click on those records to go to them. We've got a look at the actual database itself. So when we look at GoldMine, the GoldMine database itself consists of a number of different tables, about a dozen of them. And some of these tables are more important than others. So this is a quick record count of the number of records you've got. So pay particular attention to the calendar file, your pending, your outstanding activities. If that's unusually large, it could represent some records that were created a long time ago and they're old and there's no intention or no resource to actually complete those activities. Again, in GoldMine, there are tools to group them together and do something with them, actually delete them or pass them on to another user. You've got to ask yourself the question, well, why weren't those activities done? There could be a reason behind that. And then history. Now, don't get too concerned about GoldMine taking up a lot of space. The data, the physical data takes up a minute amount of space. Things that could bloat your GoldMine database could be emails and the body of emails, particularly if you're doing, depending on the way that you're doing emails in GoldMine and the options you choose with emailing and IntelliClick, if you've chosen to save the email body and you're sending out thousands of emails every day, over time, that mailbox could get quite large. So we need to watch that. We've got other tools to look at the actual physical database size. This is the number of records. So just a bit of a heads up there on the number of records there. And you look at custom views and email center analysis and pending activities by user just to see whether there's any anomalies there. We do have an export assistant here on this tools dashboard just to cover this. So if you do want a nifty way of exporting your primary and additional contacts in a CSV format or Excel format, then you have that there to output those very easily to Excel or a CSV file. And just a little bit of a plug, we've got there our Wizard Systems website, our GoldMine blog, and also a bit of a plug for our archive tab. So going back to what I said earlier about old data, we can archive that off to a separate SQL database and then give you a live view on the GM plus view tab. The GM plus view tab in GoldMine is a bit like a web page within GoldMine. And we've configured this view. So we've extracted this old data from your GoldMine database. We put it securely into another SQL database on your SQL system. And from your live GoldMine, you can still see this old data, but it's not actually taking up space in the live database. We're just providing like a little read-only live view to it. So it's quite nice. And certainly it's gone down really well with the sites that are want out where for whatever reason they do want to archive off their old data. Yeah, so look at your old data, old records, old activities, old forecasted sales. Are you using GoldMine for sales forecasting? Are there any old sales there that should have materialized umpteen years ago? Remove those, tidy them up as well. When you're doing your contact searching, of course, you could use the is empty operator. So when you're looking at your records or a combination of fields, so you might want to, for example, you might want to look at all records where there's no contact name and there's no phone number as a simple example. And that would just allow you to create that and show that data. And then think, well, what do I want to do with that data? Do I want to remove it, archive it off, or whatever? So a simple contact search there could immediately show you some records that might need some attention. So that's data quality. There are a few other things, but those are the key points there about data quality. Third thing I wanted to just briefly mention on this call is GoldMine. Is GoldMine still fit for purpose? Hopefully it is. Fingers crossed it is. But rest assured, we're here to help you get the most out of GoldMine. So really thinking, really reviewing. If you're the business owner, if you're the administrator, reviewing, is GoldMine still meeting your requirements? You bought GoldMine so many years ago. Is it still doing the right job for you now? Maybe if you've got a large system, maybe you want to send out a survey to your users, just asking for their opinion. Maybe you have internal meetings to discuss your internal business systems, and maybe that might be on the agenda to check on, making sure that GoldMine is fit for purpose, and just really observing your colleagues, or if you're a business owner or a manager, just observing users, making sure if you are in the office now, maybe you're still working from your home locations, but just trying to look over people's shoulders and just making sure that, particularly if they're a front office of a customer-facing colleague, that GoldMine should be a pretty key tool in their working day to track everything they're doing and scheduling and recording everything along the way. So looking at that for the fit for purpose, we at Wiz Assistants, we do a and normally this is free for our customers, a free CRM review on a regular basis. And we will go into what I've discussed in a lot more detail, or can go in a lot more detail with you. These are typically the things we cover normally on an online call, but we can, if it's relevant or applicable, we could visit you on site, or you'd be very welcome to come to our Bristol location and meet with us here. But really trying to, get to the fit for purpose part. How are you currently using the system? Covering any technical issues, operational issues, technical issues that you've had with the system. Of course, our help desk through the period will be trying to assist you in making sure that any issues are resolved with the minimum of fuss and bother to your company. But reviewing your business requires going into the future, looking at the next 6 months, the next 12 months, and making sure, do you have plans to take on extra salespeople, for example, support people, doing different marketing, trying to extend the functionality of GoldMine in some way? So maybe we could look at that as well with you. And we will on the call bring you up to date with the latest version. You may be running an older version, doesn't necessarily matter too much, but we will establish the benefits of upgrading to the latest version. There may be add-ons to you're trying to do something in GoldMine, or you want to do something, but you think GoldMine can't do it. Well, maybe there's an add-on that could fill that gap there, and we will mention that to you. And going back to what I covered earlier, data usage, system usage, just making sure that people are being trained. And training could be maybe just half an hour or an hour. We do have very flexible online training options that you can discuss with us, and making sure that everyone knows how to use the system, is confident on knowing how to use the system, and it's meeting your objectives. So that's just an example of a CRM review call. So that's it then on a basic overview of how to do a simple GoldMine audit. As we normally do on our sessions like this, if you've got any questions, please pop those into the question box on your meeting control panel. Do my best to answer those. So first question from Ben: will the latest version of GoldMine affect the GM View tab? Well, I don't believe so. There's no change to the actual. It depends on what version of GoldMine you're on right now. I guess I should add a caveat into that, Ben. So we will contact you afterwards. I know what company you work for. I would assume not. I'm 99% certain no, but it's always worth checking whenever these upgrades come out to make sure that the latest version will not cause any issues to you. Next question from Matthew: what's coming in 2022? Well, let me actually just bring forwards onto my next slide, latest news. So yes, just a plug for training, online training, or we are now increasingly doing in-person training. So our training center is open again. We are abiding by the COVID restrictions as recommended by UK government in England. So you're very welcome to come to us, so we can do online training as well. So latest release came out a few days ago, 2021.2. Now, in this release, we've got some updates. We're now compatible, the long-awaited compatibility with 64-bit Office. Many times in the past, particularly when we implement a new GoldMine system, your Office, your Word, Excel, Outlook may be implemented as a 64-bit version, but GoldMine only worked with 32-bit. So there's a bit of a faff to try and downgrade everything, and it's a bit of a hassle, which you don't want when you're just implementing a fresh, brand new system. But we are now fully compatible with 64-bit Office. And the previously released 64-bit version of Outlook has been improved as well, more robust, works really well. That's working really well with our customers. So 64-bit, no problem at all, works with GoldMine. Also, an update to, just a little bit technical here. GoldMine has moved from the .NET framework version 2 to framework version 4. The bottom line is that GoldMine is now more secure because it supports that .NET version 4. There are a few other improvements, updates as well. If you go to our GoldMine blog, that always has, if you subscribe to our GoldMine blog, that's always got the latest news on it and a full description of what is new, what has been updated, and in this release, quite a few fixes to some of them quite obscure anomalies that people have found with more unusual ways of using GoldMine. But there's been lots of fixes in that 2021.2. As regards Matthew question 2022, That I can't answer you, but if you subscribe to our blog, our feed, then we will notify you. And also on sessions like this, when we get news, we will notify you. Now, going back to this latest release, I would advise you not to implement this release right now. It has just been released in the last few days. We believe it to be a very robust release. We are still testing it. We've found no issues, but it's always a good plan to wait 2 to 3 weeks, or let's say 2 to 4 weeks after a major release like this, in inverted commas, just to let the dust settle a bit, and then contact us, contact Wizard Systems, and we'll hopefully know if you know us, if we know you, we'll know how you're using GoldMine, any add-ons, because we don't want you to implement an update to GoldMine and then all of a sudden any integration points fail because they don't work with the latest release. So please contact us at Wizard Systems. I'll provide our contact details at the end just to refresh you on ways of getting in touch with us. But check that out first. Check with our support team before implementing it yourself. Obviously, we can do it for you, but we will carry out the due diligence to make sure that everything is going to hang together. The last thing we want to do is apply it, and then someone somewhere in the world discovers a little issue, and that may affect you. So we don't want that to happen. But touch wood, at the moment, this is a very good release as of the 4th of November. It's only been out a few days, so early days yet. On the beta, we're on the beta forum. There's been no noise or no any postings about any issues, so we believe it to be good, but just stay tuned. The only way of getting updates is to be on the GoldMine maintenance plan, the annual maintenance contract. So if you're not on the latest release of GoldMine, if you're not on a maintenance contract, please contact us for details. There are some special offers on that to get you back on board. Okay, so that's me done then for a GoldMine audit, how to do a GoldMine audit, how to do a CRM audit of your system. If you've got any suggestions for future topics, I'd love to hear from you. Anything that might be of interest to the GoldMine community at large, please contact me, Tim Wilmot, or email me, tim@wizard-systems.com. There's our other contact details there, and there we are, our YouTube channel, Wizard Systems. Oh, it's not UK, just Wizard Systems. Pop up to do a search for that, and you should find us and all of the other GoldMine videos, and there's a GoldMine playlist as well. Thanks very much indeed. Catch up with you on the next 101. Bye-bye.